Place. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. Sport all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. 365, we making a place. You talking the game, get you through the days. We're high in the court, the dime in the lane. Variety topics, living the same. All presentation, sports information. In the airways, taking the nation. All sport, all plays, they working your faces. Grace at the field, so tie the laces. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays. We on top of our game. All sports, all plays. All sports, all plays.
And welcome to the latest edition of Real Talk. I got my fellas Jay and Kenny with me today. Jay, how you doing, man?
You know, Ray, I got to be honest with you, man. I'm doing pretty good, man, but I'm still a little bit upset with the New Orleans hire of Dennis Allen. I don't like it. I don't like that hire. I'd rather see maybe Bieniemy or somebody, but I mean, I'm doing good, but I was really just kind of discerned with that hire, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know that came in kind of later. I think all jobs have been filled, so we'll get a chance to get into that too. But I would like to hear more, but I do echo your sentiment. Kenny, what's going on, man?
Everything is good, man. You know, we actually got an African American hired, and somebody else who has comes from African American lineage. So maybe we're seeing some progress, as slow as it is, but at least we see some sort of progress. So I was glad to see that.
Yeah, no, I agree. It was weird how it rolled out. It was he said he identified as multiracial. Like, I don't know what that means or like why Chef.
Are we talking about McDaniel?
Yeah,
for Miami.
Yeah.
So that was weird. A weird way to roll that out. Either you are, or you aren't. I don't think you have to identify as a minority. I thought that was like
a politically correct answer.
Yeah, I think because of his appearance, I think that's why because he looks more
Caucasian,
more on the Caucasian side. So he probably had to put that out there because just the way judging off his appearance, you wouldn't think that at all.
Yeah, I mean, it just identifies as like his dad's black. Like the picture scene is like, so he's black, but whatever, we'll take the win, I guess, if you want to call it that. But Jay, as you mentioned, we did have another hire in New Orleans, and I believe Bieniemy was down there, and he interviewed for they said 6 to 8 hours. It was a long interview from everything I read, but they did decide to stay in house and go with Dennis Allen, and you kind of shared that in your opening segment. So give you the floor, kind of enlighten us more on your thoughts.
Yeah, I think for the development of the culture, for the development of Jameis Winston, I think Bieniemy would have, in my opinion, and I don't know if he turned it down, but I think Bieniemy would have been the better coach for that because, as you know, Winston he's not as mobile. He has a little bit of mobility to him. Patrick Mahomes obviously is mobile, but for what Bieniemy brings to the offense and how he can use Kamara, and let's be honest, you see what he could do with Tyreek Hill in different settings. What can he do with a guy like Taysom Hill, who could be a running back, a wide receiver, or a quarterback? I mean, there's so many different advantage points that he could do with that offense. It's absolutely scary, to be honest with you. And he has a great defense. He can do great things with that team. And Dennis Allen, it's kind of like, I don't know, man. It's like you have a Ferrari, and then you got like maybe a Ford Taurus, and you kind of go with the Ford Taurus, and I don't kind of get that.
That's a great analogy.
It is. I just feel like you got a Ferrari and a Ford Taurus, and you go with the Ford Taurus, and I don't understand that because you got money to spend, and gas mileage is no object. So, I don't know. I don't like it. I don't think it. Me personally, I don't. I don't know if they're trying to be loyal to the organization and trying to give a leg up, but at the same time, you really honestly missed the boat on Bieniemy.
So, and Jay and Kenny, either one, do we know if Michael Thomas is coming back? Like, I know he sat out all last year hurt. Has there been any?
And I haven't seen anything on that at all.
I would think so, just because he was projected to come back this year before he suffered a setback. So I would think so, but like you said, we haven't heard anything.
Exactly. Do you find that weird that we haven't heard anything about him?
I don't know,
I'm
not sure if he wants to, and maybe that's because he doesn't, want to be there. Maybe he's behind the scenes, kind of, let them know that he wants to be moved on. He wants to be traded. I'm not sure, but it is definitely very weird. I totally agree with you.
I just want to say that obviously, though, and this is what really hurts my heart. What hurts my heart is you have a guy like Brian Flores who is extremely qualified. It could be, he could lead any team in there damn near to a Super Bowl, whether it be a ground-up startup or whether it be a current situation. And there are coaches out there that have been hired above him that have zero credibility to them. Zero. And that is and I don't know if that's a systemic racism or if that's an owner's racism or whatever you want to call it or label it, but it's just freaking stupid and it's ugly and I got to be honest with you, Ray. I'll be honest with you. If I'm an owner in the NFL, Flores have a goddamn job. I'm giving him a job more than I'm going to get back in a job or Eberflus or Dable.
But
or Allen or Lovie Smith. I mean, I can't say Lovie Smith because Lovie Smith has a Super Bowl appearance. But I mean, the fact that he has not been given the job and they're giving it to these other guys who can't even wash the feet of freaking Flores. I'm pissed.
I mean, I think that's what we see right now, especially with all the last couple waves of hiring, is if you come from an Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, or Mike Shanahan tree, you got a great leg up. For whatever reason, Bieniemy is not catching like a lot of the others, but everybody's hiring out of the same stall of people. Mm-hmm. The Lovey thing, I'm happy to a certain extent, but it wasn't what I expected. If we're going to go minority hiring, I don't know that would have been the first name at the top of the list, but I'm happy.
It wasn't as satisfying.
Yeah, I to be honest though, I think that's a byproduct of nobody wanting that job. I think.
By the way, I gotta hey, on Unscripted tomorrow, I found this image and it has Dan Culley up in the upper right corner, and it's got Lovie Smith down center stage, and in the caption above it, it says, "And you hired that guy?"
Yeah, no, that's what
it's I'm like saying. You had me, and then you really.
You should have did if that was the case. You should have did that in the first place and hired him off a rip. Like it makes to me, it just says that was the best of the rest because they couldn't get anyone else to take that job, so they just like, well, let's just keep it in house and hire Lovely. And again, it he's a minority, so we replace a minority with another minority, so maybe that'll that'll keep the stat or keep the the complaints down or whatever the case may be. But
Kenny, you bring in a Brian Flores. They interviewed Brian Flores. How does he not get the job offer over Lovie Smith? Lovey, I love you, but let's be honest. You need a culture change. Brian Flores would have been the perfect candidate, and that would have legitimized the whole transition or the whole change of culture for Houston and made it look legitimate. Lovie Smith doesn't make it look legitimate, in my opinion.
That's what I'm saying. Like they don't want to change. They're not changing. They're not trying to.
change. No, I agree with you.
They're just trying to survive right now. That's what I think it is.
Absolutely, I totally agree.
You got Deshaun Watson in flux. You don't know how your franchise is going to move going forward. You don't have a leader of your franchise because the guy that you thought was going to be the leader of your franchise wants out. So it's just a mess there. So to me, that's not an attractive job, and that's my issue. That speaks to even more so the issue that I have is that when minorities get opportunities, for the most part, they get these these jobs where you got to salvage or you get the wreckage of some franchise that needs somebody to lead them out of the dungeon or out of the basement, and we don't get the opportunities to be able to lead franchises and lead successful franchises. We have to find these reclamation projects, and that's my problem.
And the thing about that too is, Kenny, I think it gives Roger Goodell a scapegoat, right? It gives Roger Goodell an ability to come out and say, "Hey, look, guys, we hired 1.5 black people to fill 2 positions, and then not only did we do that, right, but now we got these other outside entities that are going to come in and be a part." It's almost like he's covered it up with these good things to
lip
cover the bad things.
It's all lip service because
that's exactly right. Exactly,
it's just lip service. And he puts.
It's like smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, he puts this letter out or a statement out or whatever it was, saying that this has to change and things like that. It's just lip service. Until you put action behind those words, it's just lip service. And exactly. You as a commissioner, at some point, what's going to be your legacy? Like you made a ton of money. I understand that you work for the owners, but you made a ton of money, so it's not like you have to have this job. When do you step up and say something and stand up to these owners and make them do something that they don't want to? Not so much make them do something they don't want to do, but put some action behind it to where they have to actually do something and change things as they are, as the way they stand right now. And
Ray, I got a question for you, Ray. How many exact job interviews did Byron Leftwich command? Because he should have got at least a plethora.
He just got that one, as far as I know.
And do you see that that's a problem, right?
But to that point, why didn't David Culley get another interview? By all accounts, everybody thought he overachieved this year.
Absolutely.
But got fired. But I haven't heard his name in any talks for any positions. So it's like if he, by all accounts, overperformed and didn't even get an interview anywhere. Like that to me says a lot. And I think, Kenny, the other part of this is Roger is on his way out. I think he's not renewing his deal. Okay. So if I'm Roger, do I really want to piss off all these billionaires before I leave? Or do I want to make sure that I stay close to them so that my next job or role, they can give me a soft landing? Like it would be great for Roger to stand up and be like, "Hey man, y'all got to do better." But I think that's what he did. That's the letter. And after the letter, we get 2 minority hirings. So the newsprint is Roger Goodell puts out memo, 2 people get hired. And he gets to walk off with a victory. And all the people know. And for me, from everything I'm reading, Lovie Smith's just a placeholder for Josh McCown. And they still might have him on the staff as well. So I think from what I'm hearing is, basically, they knew it would be terrible publicity to hire Josh McCown with all these other people with minorities with far more extensive head coaching experience. So they want to get him the experience so that in a year or 2, they can make him the head coach. So by all accounts, Lovey won't be there more than 2 years is what I'm being told.
That's ridiculous.
And I believe that. But I think that they elevated Pep Hamilton to the offensive coordinator. So unless McCown's going to be like the quarterback's coach, then that's really going to be the only role that he can have. And then if that's the case, then man, this is again, it just goes to this being a sham. Like this whole process is just a sham.
Right. You got 9 freaking openings, 9, and you got Leftwich, Culley, Bieniemy, Flores, Caldwell, 5 black coaches. I guarantee you that are better than 5 white coaches that were hired out of the 9. I swear to God.
And I think everyone would agree that they got probably some of the worst jobs available. Like they didn't get any of the cushy jobs with solid quarterbacks. Miami kind of, but that was the whole issue with that team last year was the coach didn't believe in a quarterback.
Questions about Tua. Yep.
And Minnesota goes with O'Connell? What the hell is that?
Is that official?
Yeah.
Every job is done. Every job is done.
They're done. What we got is what we got. That's what I'm saying. You got 5 black coaches out of 9 openings. The fuck? I apologize. It's ridiculous. I don't get it. I'm sorry. I just don't understand.
Listen.
Well, I do understand.
I think Ray nailed it, man. And I say it all the time. It's not what you know, it's who you know.
Well, that's true too.
So this is just another example of it's not what you know, it's who you know. And all of these guys coming from these coaches, coming from these quote unquote coaching trees that are getting these opportunities just based off of who they're associated with. Because there's nothing in their resume that stands out. Because think about it. Kevin, he wasn't calling plays. Kevin was calling plays.
It's not even about winning.
The guy
even about winning.
Even sadly, it's lucky that I think even the Miami situation, I think that's more so because of the way he looks as opposed to his resume, because Shanahan was calling the plays in San Francisco. So
100%.
That's
true.
There's no, all of the guys that you mentioned between Caldwell, Bieniemy, Leftwich, all of those guys in terms of offensive minds, they're both offensive mind as well as play callers. So these guys are in charge of these offenses. And so for them to be, quote unquote, second class or underneath these, getting the opportunities for these guys that other guys got opportunities, it just shows that the process is just completely flawed.
And then let me say one thing real quick. I get Peterson went to a Super Bowl, but Peterson had a whole hell of a lot to work with, in terms of Nick Foles and his team. I mean, he had a lot to work with. Certainly a lot more than what Jim Caldwell had to work with in Detroit. Let me tell you something. If you don't know about Detroit, you ain't watching football.
Like, to be honest with you,
you're not watching
football. You could look at Jim Caldwell's resume and probably say the more impressive thing is his stint at Detroit than it was in Indianapolis.
Exactly. Yes. And that's my point when I tell you there's 9 openings and there's 5 extremely well-qualified resumes. I pop it off their chart. If you put it into a computer and it went for buzzwords, it would be blowing up with these guys. But yet they don't have jobs.
Even if you go defense, I think Raheem Morris would have been a better hire.
For sure.
I get that. Yeah.
So I think we all get it, but it's disappointing. But we may have a new coach opening soon. I don't know if you guys have heard on this breaking news or not, but Kyler Murray has unfollowed all Arizona.
Yeah, I saw that in the group chat
and scrubbed all his information. I don't know if they gave him the 5th-year extension or he's up for it. But he likely may be on the move. If he goes, I imagine Kingsbury definitely goes. But with Kingsbury there and him still doing this, is this the end of the Kingsbury era in the NFL or what's next?
It's a possibility because it was questions about him even getting a job in the first place. And he's done really nothing to solidify his status, saying that he's a legitimate, NFL coach. Because if you look at this team in the last couple of years, they faded down the stretch, like in the last couple of years. So we don't know if this is just another Chip Kelly situation where this guy is just a guy that's successful on a college level, but he's not going to be a successful NFL head coach. So,
and Arizona, let's be honest, Arizona has quite a few needs on defense. And if you take away Kyler Murray off that offense, you might as well just almost be looking at you can't get like a top-notch quarterback to come. Yeah, if you can't get a top-notch guy to come in and replace Kyler Murray, then you could damn near say his job is almost done. Or it would be done.
I will say this though: if it's a choice between Kyler Murray and Cliff Kingsbury, if you're the Cardinals, you better be telling Cliff Kingsbury to pack his boxes because.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Murray over Kingsbury. If that's the ultimatum, then it's a no-brainer to me.
Oh, and how good would it look if Bieniemy got that job? He goes from one mobile quarterback to another mobile quarterback, and he has quite a few things he could do with that offense.
Exactly, and you got some, like you said, you got some pieces to work with that offense.
Young pieces.
You got DeAndre Hop, you got D Hop, you got Ertz, you got. Even AJ Green soda, he still got something left in the tank. Connor had a good season. Christian Kirk, like they got some pieces to work with. So you put that offense in the right person's hands, you could do some damage.
Let me ask you guys a question. Last time I checked, correct me if I'm wrong, But if you're winning games, you're generating money. Would y'all say that's correct?
For sure.
Yes.
Okay. So you bring in these coaches. Let's take Denver, for example. They bring in Hackett. What if they don't get Aaron Rodgers? What they're stuck with what they got. They just got what they got. And they're having to ride Teddy Bridgewater, which is not a bad quarterback, but he's not the guy that's going to get you to where you need to go.
Chill, Mike. He ain't making that.
I guess what I'm saying is I feel like these owners are putting this whole racism attitude above. I mean, they're not even making money at this point. They're willing to stand by this principle of whatever and sacrificing the profit line and winning and fan base and everything else for. I just don't. For me, it doesn't make sense. I'm sorry. It just doesn't.
Jay, it's relationships. Think about it.
But is your relationship worth?
That's my point. Is that they're banking more off of who you know as opposed to what you know. Because with Hackett, that same situation, they're banking on the fact that his relationship with Aaron Rodgers could perhaps put them in position.
And then what happens if it doesn't?
That's my point. That's my point. That's the main reason why he's there. Because again, this is the same situation. Another guy I forgot about. He's another guy that didn't call plays in Green Bay and got a head coaching job. So it's just
question though. So does that? Do you think that because that's what I believe too.
Oh,
I believe Hackett got that job, and I think him and Aaron Rodgers. I think there's been some conversations, some emails that haven't been surfaced yet. That's why he got that job because he's not better than Fangio. We know that. So that there has to be an idea that Aaron Rodgers will leave Green Bay and turn down that massive extension and come to Denver. Why else would they have hired Hackett when I could have kept Fangio? If that's what we're looking at.
There's nothing in his resume that would say
it's a lateral move.
Yeah, it's not. He's not a home run candidate.
It's a lateral. I mean, it's just a lateral move.
I think that's part of the problem. Like this speaks to more of the problem is that none of these hires, pretty much the only hire that you could look. Okay, I understand it. Is Jacksonville because Peterson won the Super Bowl.
Right.
The rest of these hires is really and there's really none of these hires where you could look at it and say, oh, this is a slam dunk. They nailed that. Nobody is saying that about any of these hires. Nobody.
I just feel like, I try to think if I was an owner, what would I do? And if I was an owner, I'm just trying to bring in the best candidate that gives me the best shot at winning. And I'm looking at your resumes, and I'm looking at a Flores resume, I'm looking at a Bieniemy, a Caldwell resume, and then I look at the ones that are out there, and I'm trying to justify why, and I cannot justify any of these guys. And I'm like, as an owner, I want to make money. I want my team to be profitable. I want my fans to be happy. I want all these things, and none of it screams that. And it's just, I don't know. I just don't get it. And I'm not meant to get it. Be honest with you, I'm not meant to get it. But at some point, it's got to change.
We all asking the same question, Jay. It's not just you.
I just feel like at some point it's got to change.
But at the same time, it's not like you get a bunch of more money for winning. Like playoff salary.
Well, you do through inadvertence. Your jersey sales go up. Your stadium gets filled. There are things there are tangibles that say you will make money. I mean, let's be honest.
San Francisco went to the playoffs and they didn't necessarily get more money because they played a bunch of road playoff games.
Well, that's true too. Now you're right about that. I get what you're saying, Ray.
They're guaranteed. I forget it's at like $40 million or something just off TV money before a game is played, and then you accumulate money all year. If you're really thinking about it as a businessman, you can spend a bunch of money on your payroll and still not win the Super Bowl, or you can penny pinch, still get a bunch of guaranteed money, and you actually might net more money than the teams that are going farther. So,
right,
in a lot of ways, you're not incentivized to win because you're guaranteed a certain amount of money. But we were talking about the owners and what they should do. I don't know how many of you guys watched it, but a lot of people came out and were pretty critical of the Pro Bowl this weekend.
Oh, yeah, that Pro Bowl was ridiculous.
Shannon Sharp was one of them who was vocally like, I don't know what this is. Get rid of it. It was trash. Like, if you're an owner and that is a part of your product, what do you do about the Pro Bowl? How do you fix the Pro Bowl, or should they just get rid of it altogether? Kenny, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to just get rid of it altogether because it's just not going to be because it's different than with the NBA All-Star game, it's different because football has such a physical element to it. Like, it's so easy to tell when guys are not, going 100% or not, hitting full out, full contact. And to me, like, either you get rid of it or you go 7-on-7. It's either one or the other. Like, you either go 7-on-7 or you get rid of it. To me, that's the only solution, because if you're going to keep playing it the way it's playing now, it's not going to be a real true game. It's just going to be, you might as well just play two-hand touch if that's the case, because it's just not going to be any physical element in it whatsoever. Because these guys are not, to the you were talking about in terms of incentivized. These guys are not incentivized. Like, they already got their check for making a Pro Bowl. If there's any, any incentives in their contract for them making a Pro Bowl, once they make the team, they got their money. So they're not going to do anything and put themselves in harm's way to, endanger themselves in any way. They're going to make business decisions the whole night. So I just think either you get rid of the game or you go 7-on-7. To me, that's the only fix.
And Kenny, I'll follow up real quick with this. Is it the week before the Super Bowl? Because every other major sport has their All-Star game in the middle of the year in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
Is the timing of the Pro Bowl, should it be moved? And it's harder to kind of move it because of the amount of votes, but other sports do it. So would moving it make it more competitive?
Maybe if you, but I guess because of the injury element in football, I think that's why it hasn't ever been in the middle of the season, because of the injury concern. I think, I don't know, but that's just my thinking. But so I don't know if moving it would make it might make it more competitive because it's in the middle of the season and guys will still be, still have another half of the season where they still got to, produce or whatever the case. Maybe that does it. But then the injury factor, I think that's what would steer them away from going that route.
But to that point, and I agree with you, I think that's why we didn't see much hitting. But hockey's a physical sport also.
It is.
And they seem to have a pretty good all-star game. They got skills competitions. They have, I think, a good parallel, but it's engaging. Like, I've enjoyed the hockey. They've done some where they played outside. They've done different things to kind of tweak it. And obviously hockey's not football, but I feel like there's a place for it. I just don't think they're doing it right. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, man, with the NFL, and I have a question for I'm gonna get my answer, and then I do have one question for Kenny. But my answer to that is, I think with the football, you see a lot more ACLs, MCLs, and knee injuries, and I do have a little bit of ignorance when it comes to hockey. I don't follow it nearly as closely as I should to know how their injuries are and what type of injuries that they actually sustain. But I just know off my background with football and with basketball, football has a lot of injuries. I mean, you get those freak injuries, those tweaks, it's just all kinds of just sudden nuances that lead to injuries. And I think that you see it more prevalent, or it's more prevalently known in football, I guess, than it is in hockey. So hockey, I feel like because of that, I feel like they can be more physical. They can do what they do because they don't sustain the injuries nowhere near as much, I don't think, and I guess I could be wrong, than what NFL does. And let's be honest, some of these guys are worth big-time dollars, man. Like big-time contracts. They got a lot on the line. From their standpoint, from the owner's standpoint, I get it. I don't like it. I think I agree more with what Kenny. Give me a 7-on-7. Give me a damn flag football. Because even because back in the day, Deion said it best. Back in the day, it was you went out there and you were the best, and you showed in the Pro Bowl why you were the best, why you were picked. And somewhere along the line of when Deion played, and now you get a Kyler Murray or whoever else plays, it's more business. People are more looking out for the longevity and not so much the actual sport itself. So it's definitely the business aspect of it has definitely grown. But if I can, I want to segue real quick because this really came to my heart, and I want to ask Kenny and Ray, certainly please follow up as well. Do you think that with the previous topic, do you think that the NFL Players Association should be taking more of a stance with the way the current NFL is going, and that the players and the union itself should be voicing what their concerns are?
Yeah, for sure. And I think even with this current topic, I think it's one of those things where they're going to have to be involved on both fronts.
Right.
They're going to have to be vocal in terms of their issues with, it's got to be more guys like Honey Badger, like Tyrann Mathieu, that'll step up and make statements and say things, kind of similar. It's just like, when the whole George Floyd issue came up, they made a video and everybody was speaking out, using their platforms to make a statement. I think this has to be a similar thing. And then secondly, also this, the Pro Bowl is affecting, that's the product that you're putting on the field as players. So they're going to have to have a say so on that as well. And they're going to have to do their part in order to make this thing a better game, because the fact of the matter is that once you hear people complaining about it, and when people are talking about, why are we playing this game and things of that nature, that speaks to you as players. So you guys are going to have to get on board and contribute to helping this thing become, the Pro Bowl become a better game, or else you're going to, face the risk of losing it. So I think they're going to have to be on both fronts. They're going to have to put their input. They're going to have to make their voices heard and make their voices, known, and add to the collaboration in terms of bringing a better product.
Because my theory is, hey, just like baseball, right? Football has got an amazing, amazing story that this NFL Players Association, if they can get I am not a favor of lockouts, but I swear to you, there is no bigger need for a lockout than the NFL. And I hate to say that because I don't like to see any sport get locked out, but damn it, I think that when you look at the NFL, it is predominantly minority. And what makes a bigger impact on the game itself than the minorities to stand up with the NFL Players Association and say, we've had enough, we want change, and we're not playing until we see some legitimate concessions. You know what I'm saying? I think the NFL Players Association is not using what they have to their advantage.
But the NFL's different on a couple ways. And you compared it to baseball, and their unions couldn't be farther apart. The baseball
is true. That's true.
Is so much better and stronger of a union. The NFL Players Association, I think, is the weakest of all the major sports. There's no cohesiveness. There's no camaraderie. They're never unified. Like even this last cycle, I think it's been maybe 2 or 3 years now, when they got the biggest win from that for the players was, we're not going to drug test you for weed. Like that was the greatest win they got. Like they have so far to go, and there's so many more people on a team that it would take a collective mindset to stop spending all your money and be willing to take the lockout. Because to your point, Jay, you're right. Like, and that was going to be my suggestion was, I don't think they can do much of anything until the next negotiation. I think they can opt out in the next 2 to 3 years and renegotiate, but I'm pretty sure they won't be prepared. And what's different from even the NFL and the NFL and the NBA is a lot of your prominent voices and stars in the NFL are white quarterbacks. In the NBA, it's Giannis, it's LeBron, it's Chris Paul, it's a lot of black people that are in those positions of power with voices. And so I would think we would need the Russell Wilsons when the Brady, Rodgers, Breeze, and all of them are gone. If the Watsons, the Mahomes, the Murray to a certain extent, if they were aligned,
even the running backs have a lot. Could he make it? Or even the defensive captains.
That people aren't going to listen to. Maybe Aaron Donald, or JJ Watt would have been a voice, but he's not going to really, I think, campaign for that. But I think that's part of the issue is on the player side, a lot of the prominent voices are not black. And so I think you would need them to be unified. Then you would need collective black voices or voices willing to fight for black causes. And I just think the NFL got a lot of hurdles to jump through on top of having a weak union and not having guaranteed contracts, which makes things significantly different when it comes to money.
To me, that's the biggest hammer that the NFL has as to why the unions aren't as strong, because their money is not guaranteed. They're not able to bank on the fact that they have that guaranteed money to sit on or to stack on if need be. the fact that most of these guys don't have guaranteed money, that's the hammer that the NFL has over them. And I just looked it up. This new collective bargaining agreement just went into effect, and it doesn't end to 2030. So they're stuck in this thing for the next 10 years.
And that's where I feel like the NFL is missing the mark on a lot of things. Not only are they missing it on the racism issue, but they're also missing it on the player issue in terms of their unions. I mean, if I'm a guy of any kind of substance, like you said, Aaron Darnold, or a Russell Wilson who's been in the league for a while now, or a Kyler Murray, I'm getting these guys up and I'm saying, like, hey, look, man, we need to figure something out, or we need to do something, because if the union doesn't get better, how do you expect other things to get better? The union, because when the union can get strong, now you got a voice, a collective voice, and then you can really start affecting change that you want to see happen. You can almost combat the good old boy system because you have the union's power behind you.
Well, at the end of the day, the talent is the talent, and if you don't have the talent, you don't have a product. So that would be the only hammer that you have in terms of players, is to withhold your services. So, but again, it would have to be a collective, and it would have to be an understanding and an agreement coming of all of these guys, all of these members of this union. And I think that's part of the problem is that there's so many guys. You're talking about 53-man rosters and 32 teams. To get 1,600 guys to agree on something like that, that's really challenging.
I'm going after the top wideouts. I'm going after the Tyreek. I'm going after the Tyreek Hills. I'm going after the Amari Cooper, CeeDee Lambs. I'm going after the Jefferson, Odell Beckhams. I'm going after them all.
I think you could get a consensus among the top tier guys. I think the problem comes is when you get to the lower guys, the second and third stringers, that they're not sure when the next contract is coming from, and they don't want to rock the boat.
Well, that's a good point. That's a good point. It really and that's where you have to say, God, it's so complicated. But yeah, I get it.
Yeah. So,
but one of the, I guess, for better or for worse, the Pro Bowl has got a lot of attention. Obviously not because of much of what was played or the play on the field, but after the Pro Bowl, Mr. Alvin Kamara found himself in a situation, and I think we talked about it off mic. We haven't seen the video, but I think we've all read about it, and it sounds pretty bad. One of the issues with going to Vegas is it's Vegas, and I can promise you, if you did something in a hotel, there's cameras.
Absolutely,
it doesn't always stay in Vegas.
So that's a good point, Jay. So I don't know what was going through his mind. He hasn't spoken yet. This seems pretty dumb. From all accounts, the victim in this case, called Kamara's friend ugly and said he won the fight, and they proceeded to knock him unconscious and beat him while he was knocked out and broke his eye socket. So I can't imagine this is a good thing. But I guess just kind of give you guys a reaction. Jay, what are your thoughts based on what we know so far?
Based just off of what we know so far, of course, we don't know everything, but based on what we know so far is that Kamara gave the account to the police, and it wasn't exactly the correct account, as the video indicated. So he's already kind of starting off on a bad foot, but he already was on a bad foot. I think if you're Kamara, you got to, I hate to say it, man, but you got to let those stupid comments just be what they are, stupid comments. I mean, maybe, and I'm not saying you have to let it happen. Maybe you go voice it to somebody, but I think the minute you start engaging in physical altercations, it just is what it is, man. Listen, assault's assault, whether you were in the right or in the wrong, it's assault's assault, man. And at the end of the day, you're going to have to pay for that. That's just the way that's just the way it is. And when it's on camera, it's on camera. And, I get it. People's ignorance and people's ugliness is ugly. It's ugly. But you gotta be the bigger person. You gotta be the guy that has the head on a swivel and be like, you know what? This guy is honestly not even worth my time. I don't even know who this guy is. He's probably not worth a damn bit of my time. So why am I going to go to jail for an idiot? You have to think of it like that.
The other piece that I would add to that, Jay, and I'm not condoning violence by any stretch of the imagination, but that's why you have people with you. Is so that when something goes down, you don't throw the punches. That's why I'm funding your life. that if something comes up, y'all handle it. I'm the money. I'm the bag. You always secure the bag. And so for him, and I heard he was with his girlfriend, like, I'm really confused as to how he found himself in that situation, why he acted the way he acted. Like, he was just at the Pro Bowl. So I really would like to hear more. But even if it comes out that it was a racist slur that was used or something like that, I don't know if the victim was black or white. But even in that case, like, you can't do this. And I'm really baffled. And maybe as more comes out, we'll learn more. But it seems like the more that comes out, it's going to be bad.
It wasn't even. It wasn't after. It was the day before the Pro Bowl. So.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, you're up at this is 6:30 in the morning on Saturday morning, the day before the game.
You know, nothing good ever happens past midnight. That's what my mama always said. Nothing good ever happens past midnight.
But man, I think Ray, you kind of nailed it. Like, it's two things. One, it's a lot of, you got to understand the society that we live in today. You got a lot of trolls out here. You got a lot of people out here just looking for attention, looking for their 30 seconds of fame.
Yeah, of course they are.
Get themselves on camera, to go viral or to be an instant celebrity, and they bring no value to your life. They bring nothing. They're not going to help you in any way, shape, or form, man. And you just gotta, like you said, be the bigger person and walk away. Don't give them that. Don't give them that opportunity, because basically now all you've done is just cost yourself a whole bunch of money. Because if this thing goes, time between lawyers' fees and court costs and potential fines and maybe suspensions, depending on how this thing plays out, you just cost yourself a whole bunch of money just for one a dumb decision made, in a moment, like literally in a 5-minute moment. This could cost you millions of dollars. So you just gotta really count up the cost and really just be smart and work smart and not, what I'm saying? Because this could have all been avoided. Like, even that your excuse even makes it worse. Like, you beat this guy for calling your girlfriend ugly. Like, come on. In what way, shape, or form is that even a justification for you guys to stomp this guy out? And it wasn't just you; it was you and your boy stomped him out. Like, it had to. You got to give me more than him saying that your girl was ugly for you to even justify that type of action.
Like, even to that point, I think it go. You talk about the money loss. We've talked about on this show how high over the cap the Saints are, and so now if I'm looking to cut costs and I can get out of from under this deal for conduct detrimental, like we saw what happened with Henry Ruggs and some others, like, you just gave them a way out. And yes, I think he would get another job, but I think based on that deal he got, he wouldn't get that again.
Exactly. So, I was saying, he may get another job, but it won't be the same money he's making or currently making.
It's just a loss all the way around, no matter how you look at it. You doing this is going to cost you money. It doesn't matter.
And he did that for a guy that probably makes maybe $40,000 or $50,000 a year.
That's what I'm saying. Like, literally. You just made this guy's day. You literally just made this guy's day.
Yeah.
Because you not only did you injure the guy, now he's got, this.
He's gonna make money off of you, like you said. You're gonna go to court.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you beat this guy up so badly that now he can sue you in court and take you to court civilly. That's going to cost you more lawyers' fees. Right. That's going to cost you more money if he wins. So it's just a loss all the way around. So you just got to.
This guy's like, I'm gonna take an ass whooping. But you know what? At the end of the day, I'm gonna make 6 figures off this, or maybe. That's
what I'm saying. Like, he literally just baited you.
Let me see, an ass whooping, or me getting a brand new house and a car.
That's what I'm saying. Like, he baited you into a payday.
Yeah, and you got to be smarter than that. You just have to. And I know it's not easy. It's not easy to deal with jerks. It's not. I get that. It's not easy.
Listen. You hear a bunch. You got to have selective hearing. Just like when you're in a stadium, right? And you hear these people out in the stands harassing you. You let that go in one ear and out the other. It's the same thing. You just let that go in one ear and out the other. That guy brings nothing to your life. It's not even worth your time.
Yeah,
what's up, Freddie?
What's going on?
Hey, we didn't mention the Lakers. I don't know what happened.
And we're not going to anytime soon.
I'm surprised you did.
He must have heard the Rams conversation. I don't know.
Freddie,
No,
did you have any?
no.
Did you have any Alvin Kamara thoughts on based on what you've heard and seen so far?
Man, it's just a sad situation that, you know, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just a sad situation that he's going through it and that he decided to make decisions that he made, and just prayers for him and his family that he learned from it and move on.
All right.
You're going to learn a hard lesson. That's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say he's going to definitely learn a lesson. So we'll see if they keep him around or what, you know, happens next for him, because he's definitely given all the leverage back to the Saints if they want to move on out of that bad deal to help get out from under that contract. But the NFL has definitely given us a lot here as we wind down to the last little bit. Freddie, I know I wanted to give you kind of the floor. I saw some interviews here that the network was doing. Did you want to talk to the people a little bit about what ASAP's doing, or how did you want to handle that?
Hey, man, just ASAP here is just moving in the right direction. And, man, we got the credentials for the Super Bowl. I was able to interview.
An air horn or something, some kind of claps.
I know.
I got to interview some of my team. No. This is something Kenny can't ever say. He can't ever say.
No, hold on. We gotta wait. Hold on. Well, let's just touch this really quick, and I'm gonna let you continue. You are not a Rams fan until next season. You cannot.
I think right now you're in transition mode.
No, you cannot. No, it starts next year.
Kenny, I like what you're saying, Kenny.
You are not a Rams fan until next season. So we're not hearing that right now.
You see that? But that's what Freddie does. Freddie gets it right at the moment. He's all about the moment.
We're not doing that. You're a Giants fan this season. This season is not complete.
No. You know what?
No.
Hey, hold on.
Listen, you are a Giants fan this season. This season is not over until Sunday. Once Sunday is over, then you can claim your Rams. Until then,
I got one better. To be a real fan. Now, Freddie, I want you to hear me good on this. To be a real fan, an honest, legitimate fan, to make your narrative have substance, you have to become a Rams fan when they actually had their first losing season or season out of the playoffs, because then it gives you credibility. I'm just saying.
Good thing I'm not dictating my decision off two Cowboy fans who haven't done nothing in 27 years.
But it's true, though. You have no substance behind you.
The New York Giants forced me to lead them. The New York Giants forced me.
I understand. I'm not.
Kenny.
Nobody's saying that. You made the right decision.
I know you're understanding. See, Jay McLevin, he don't hear anything. I
do. I hear you. I hear you.
I'm going to be a Chargers fan. I'm going to the Chargers. I told him that. He said, Freddie, you can't do that. That's just like being a Clippers fan. And I thought about it. I was born in the city of California. That's my hometown.
That's not the same thing, by the way. That's not the same thing, Freddie. You're right. That's not the same thing. That's two completely different cities.
I'm not saying it. I'm not accepting the fact that you're denouncing your Giants and becoming a Rams fan. All I'm saying is that you cannot officially become a Rams fan until after this season is over. You can't be a Giants fan during this season and then say, now I'm a Rams fan and the season is not over yet.
I
just feel like there's no credibility behind Freddie. There's no credibility.
I got some Rams gear on the way.
Right, that you can wear after Sunday. You're not wearing it this week. That's all.
But back to what Ray's question was. We got some stuff, we're gonna get Kenny involved into these credentials during the next season, but it won't be for the Cowboys because they ain't gonna never be in this situation. So
talk to
but we're real fans, Freddie. You might not like it, but me and Kenny, we got credibility behind our names. You don't have the credibility.
We don't jump on bandwagon.
It's okay for you to leave the Houston Rockets to become a Dallas Mavericks fan.
I never became a Dallas Mavericks fan. I know you're saying that, but I'm not a Dallas Mavericks fan.
No, it's not fair. Okay.
But we digress. Go ahead, continue and put this. Let the people know what we've been doing with Super Bowl week.
Yes,
let's throw that in
there. Earlier today, Jim Cross, he interviewed Joe Burrow. You guys see it's blowing up. The Cincinnati Bengals put it on their page. It's all over ESPN. So that part is actually really dope about that part. And then, like I said, I was able to interview Matthew Stafford. Odell Beckham Jr. Tomorrow, I believe they said it's the offensive coordinators. Our dude Jay Ness and Jonathan Matt is going to be a part of that. So I mean, hey, you're going to see a lot of content from the Super Bowl here in the ASAP Network. You want to know anything that goes on in the Super Bowl, just follow us. And you never know who you might see on the network. You never know who you might find, and all that great stuff.
Hey, question, Freddie. I caught part of the interview that you're a part of. Were you actually able to get questions in? I didn't catch all of it. I need to go back and watch the rest of it. But were you able to get questions in?
I wasn't, but Jim Cross was.
Jim Cross was?
Yeah, he was, but I wasn't. Actually,
hey, that's all right. Hey, ASAP, making moves, baby.
His question, like I said, got the Cincinnati Bengals cut out a part of the interview, and it was actually Jim Cross' question. It's all on ESPN and all that stuff. They're actually blowing that part up. So
big time.
Kudos to Jim Cross, represent ASAP at its finest. That's awesome.
Absolutely. But speaking of the Super Bowl, and this still sports related news, we have not. Well, I have. I don't know if you guys have been following. Mr. Antonio Brown has been running around with Mr. I guess it's just Ye now, and has as of today, he's been announced as the president of Donda Sports, and they spent, I think it was $2.5 million on an owner's suite where they're going to do like local giveaways and things and bring some kids from the LA area into the suite that they have there. So obviously, Ye's worth billions of dollars, but do we envision that this is the next path for Antonio Brown, or do we think he'll get back on the football field next year?
Let me go first.
Go ahead, Freddie.
Please. I don't know. We don't know. We don't know what's going on in this man's head. I mean, it's Antonio Brown and Kanye West. We don't know.
That's who he is. I'm sorry. I was out of pocket. I'm glad you clarified. Hey, because I'm over here googling Ye, like just a Y-E. I'm like, I don't know if it's a Spanish acronym or a Chinese letter. I'm over here googling Ye because that's how. Hey, listen, I'm old school, Freddie.
Don't worry about Jay. We got you.
Hey, listen, I'm glad somebody does. I'm over here googling Ye. Damn white people.
Oh man. But yo, I'm gonna jump in real quick. Let me address the elephant in the room. Maybe you guys might not say it, but I gotta say it.
Say it.
Look, if your mental health is being questioned in terms of whether you have mental health issues, and your next move is to associate yourself or team up with a guy that is known to have mental health issues, that has been diagnosed as having mental health issues, like that's not helping your cause. I'm sorry. Like to me, this move, hopefully, and I would, and this is not, I want to see black men be successful. So this is not me taking a shot or anything, but this is just me keeping it 100%. Like this is not a move that you would do if you're trying to change the narrative of you having issues with mental health. This doesn't help your cause. So to me, if this is his transition out of the NFL, I wish him all of the best. But if he's trying to come back and play again, I don't think this helps your cause in any way, shape, or form. That's what I got to say.
So, and Jay, I'll give you a chance to do some more research if you need. Yeah. But I think y'all got this all wrong. Let me first say I'm a huge Kanye fan, have been for a while, and will continue to be so. But I think if you are trying to rebuild your image, which I think AB definitely needs, Kanye's following is one in which that is cult-ish. So if you can get that kind of support and you can become the president of a successful organization, I think as you position yourself for business, I haven't seen Kanye touch anything that didn't blow up and be wildly successful. So whether it's his sports academy, which I know we were trying to get some people there in the Chicago that he had his private academy, whether it's his clothing, whether it's his partnerships, whether it's his stadium, whether it's music, he doesn't miss in a lot of cases. So Kenny, to your point, I agree. The mental health part is not maybe the best look, But outside of that, I think this is a great move for AB. And I think you need someone like Ye, who has a history of being perceived a certain way that in a lot of cases is not true. I think he can understand AB. Now, AB is a cat that has 9 lives because he went from Tom Brady to Ye. And so that is a great landing spot. We've seen, I don't know if you guys are into like media a lot, but I think that's a great opportunity for him. And apparently they bought the suite. So I think if you can start to see AB in a community giving back, doing good things, I think that helps put aside the negative image. And we've seen a bunch of people remake their image in off the field stuff. I think this could potentially be a new side of him that'll help people forget what happened in Tampa, at least in the moment. And
right, Kanye West is not the person to help you get back on the football field. I'm sorry.
You're not listening to what's going on, Freddie. You're not listening to what's going on.
I disagree.
You're not listening. And I'll tell you why in a minute when it's my turn. But and Ray, I'm definitely with what you're, and I'm vibing with what you're saying.
But if you think of culture, like Ye's associated with everyone. And so I'm very confident that if you needed somebody to put in the word, Ye can get word to somebody and speak on your behalf. And I think it would carry weight even in the sports arena because behind the scenes, he's working with a lot of people. So I think it's a win for AB. I like what they're doing and what the plan they plan to roll out. I've been really happy with a lot of the sports stuff that they're doing. And even if it doesn't get him back on the field, if he can get into a presidential role and learn how to become an executive and maybe make smarter decisions, I just think it's a win overall. But I will be curious to see if they can stay aligned because AB has a history of blowing up these kind of relationships. I think it'll help catapult him back into some other form of avenue, if not on the field.
That's my concern is that, and then, Jay, I'll let you jump in. My concern is you got two guys that are highly emotional, highly combustible, two strong personalities. Like I'm not sure how long, two huge egos. Those would be my concerns as to how this would work on a consistent and on an ongoing basis. I just don't know. I mean, I hope you're right. I hope it does work because I always want to see black men be successful. I'm just not sure this pairing if it has a long term.
Go ahead, Jay.
Yeah, real quick. The whole thing with the comment below about Lovie Smith, let's be honest. Let's just call it what it is. If they're only giving him 2 years, then it's going to be the same thing as Dan Culley. And it's going to make Houston Texans look even worse than what they already look with the whole Dan Culley situation. So the only way the Houston Texans can make the Lovie Smith hiring work is that they give him a legitimate shot, which would be at least, in my opinion, a 4-year deal. They give them 4 years to draft, to bring in free agents, and to change the culture and to do things. But it's going to have to be a significant, length of contract if the Texans want to make this thing work. Otherwise, it's just another Dan Culley situation, and it just gets even uglier. And I hate that because I'm from the city of Houston, and I love the city of Houston. And for this organization to bring the negativity to this, I hate it. I hate it all the way around. With that being said, then I look at the current situation of Kanye West and Antonio Brown. Let's be honest, with Antonio Brown, the way he handled his leaving Tampa, I just don't see another organization willing to take on the AB and the issues that AB has brought. I mean, sometimes I think certain situations, certain relationships, certain reputations are just done. And I'm not saying he's done, but at the same time, I am kind of saying, I'm speaking of, I think that just has been kind of done. But at the same time, look, Kanye West, this is what I know about Kanye. He's a brand master. Like, he can brand. He can take something and turn it into something else and rebrand it, and he just makes money. He's like Midas. He just turns things to gold. And if AB can listen to him, and if AB will take his advice or what have you, if he's able to do that, then he can, from a PR, from a public relations standpoint, he can give AB another avenue. Because let's be honest, AB was on Dancing with the Stars. He's got other talents that he could do. And if one thing about Kanye West, he can take what you got and he can make it into something else, and he can give you a whole new career. And who's to say that Antonio Brown can't make a segue into something else and be productive? And if I'm Antonio Brown, I'm going to take this with Kanye West. I'm going to listen to what he has to say, and I'm going to take a different avenue and try to keep generating income into my life so that I can maintain my lifestyle or whatever it is and be productive.
But I guess the question is when is AB ever listen to anybody?
And that's true. And that's what it is. It's going to come contingent on if he can listen to Kanye. And if he can't, well, then you know what? That man has been given every damn, and I don't feel bad for him because he's got more damn chances than I ever got in life.
100%.
It just is what it is at that point.
I've seen him posting a lot of the Fashion Nova stuff as well. So I think he's like a brand ambassador for them. So I think
all that is nice and dandy and stuff, but that don't help him get back on the football field. That's not
it does.
He's not getting back on the football field.
That's like work with Tom Brady. That's not saying that he went to go bite the hand that fed him.
He's not getting back on the football field.
Tom Brady help this man get back in the NFL, and as soon as everything blows up, the person he comes slander is the guy that got you back in football.
I get it.
But Freddie, think about it. When the Baltimore Ravens put that, or when he put that out, there was a bunch of Ravens that wanted him. Players.
That was players and stuff, right? But what you talking about? We're talking about billion-dollar owners that. What do you think they're going to continue to give this man a chance? How many chances does he need to show us? I mean, Kenny, this is not the first incident that happened with this guy. What did Maya Angelou say? If someone shows you who they are, what? You believe them. I mean, I'm all for chances. I'm all for it. But it comes a time where your chances need to run out. I mean, who else is he going to throw under the bus next?
Hey, real quick, Texas is beating Kansas 40-35 at the half. Go Texas. Go Longhorns.
Well, I think Ray, I think you kind of got it. I think you kind of nailed one thing I will give you in terms of like that cult following, in terms of that niche, in terms of that angle, in terms of that lane. Like if that's the lane you're gonna go, then Kanye is the perfect person to align yourself.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I think this is more so. I think he realizes that it's more, that he's pretty much done in the NFL. I think this is a move to set himself up for his career after football.
And you don't think Kanye can speak Antonio Brown? I guarantee at some level he can speak Antonio Brown.
They can both talk crazy. So
yes,
they too big. But we talking about off the field. I agree. But we can't say this is going to be a move to get him back on the field.
I'm
Freddie, not sure. But that's the point, Freddie. His football days are done. We got to look past the football and say, what is Antonio Brown's next chapter? And that's where Kanye West comes in.
Yeah, I agree on that standpoint.
So, Ray, do you think that Kanye could rehabilitate his image enough to get back into the NFL?
Without a doubt. I mean, we've seen it. Like, he's done this. You can look at what his ex-wife used to be and what she is now. And granted, things have been messy now, but Kanye has helped a bunch of people rehabilitate their image. And if he's putting Antonio Brown in a light we've never seen him, bringing kids to football games, doing homeless shelter drives, like if he's making him the face of an organization that is giving back to local communities, the talent's there. That's not the issue with Antonio Brown. The last time we saw him on the field, the week before,
it's never been an issue with talent. That's never been an issue.
So if the talent's
there,
there,
handle situations, that's the problem.
Right. So
I got something for you. Ray.
Go ahead.
Hold on. Let Ray finish. I think he was going with something.
Yeah, finish your thought, Ray.
So if the talent is there and everything that I'm showing is, I get it. I screwed up, and he's walked back some of his statements. And I have an advocate in players in locker rooms. I have $1 billion guy that's running around, and all his fans. And because you're talking about owners don't really care till the public cares. So if they start a campaign and they're signing petitions and they're doing all this other stuff, somebody's going to get that man a call, because there's probably 3 or 4 teams out there that'll say, look at Los Angeles Chargers. Would Antonio Brown fit in their slot with Keenan Allen and Mike Williams and Justin Herbert and Austin Eckler? Yeah, he'd fit real good. So if he's in LA right now and you can get him on the cheap because he's going to be cheap, why wouldn't you take that chance? And if it don't work, you get rid of him. But
I'm not putting him around my future quarterback.
That's the thing, though. That's a lot to take on as a franchise is trying to get themselves started with Justin Herbert.
That's fair.
Chance?
Yeah, because if Tom Brady couldn't keep them on the same page, how in the world is Justin Herbert going to do?
Let me ask you this, Kenny.
I got something for y'all. Kanye, please reach out to come help change me. If you
Hey, Freddie, hold on now. Let me ask you this. You don't think the first question, hey, Freddie, you think the first question out of the LA Chargers' mouth to a guy like Antonio Brown is going to be, okay, Antonio, you had these issues with your mental health, with all these questionable decisions you're making off the field, on the field, this, that, and the other. What have you done to rectify this? What have you done to get yourself under control? He's going to have a hard time answering those questions. And I got to believe if you're taking that guy like Antonio Brown on, you're not asking those questions.
Hey, I got one better for you. Yo, dude, Jerry Jones, who we know in the past will pick up anybody.
He's not taking on Antonio Brown.
I don't think
he's not. No, I'm not even going to let you say that.
We're not going to let you say that, Freddie. If Gallup and Cooper are gone,
I don't think
they're not bringing on Antonio Brown.
They're not bringing on Antonio
Brown. They're not.
I'm just saying. Antonio's not
doing it. If that's the case, go ahead, put him with your boy Trey McLaurin, Ray. You take him to Washington, make him a commander.
We already have issues in Washington with people and sexual assault and a whole bunch of other allegations. We can't take on that kind of character on our team for publicity reasons. We're trying to
pick him up. Nobody else will. That's risk.
Y'all picked up Greg Hardy. Remember that.
That is true.
So if y'all can take Greg Hardy, y'all can take him.
To be fair,
we need to name.
To be fair, Jerry Jones will take on reclamation projects. So we need to.
I mean, let's not be honest. Okay, if you want to really be honest, Freddie and Ray, if you really want to be honest, yes, Dallas took on Demetrius Underwood, probably the biggest head case out there that was running down the street butt naked. I get it. We've taken on Demetrius Underwood, but I really believe that Jerry Jones has had enough of the Demetrius Underwood issues and the issues of other teammates like the Greg Hardys that he's not willing to go down that avenue again. I don't think you're not going to see that happen. If that happened, I will go run butt naked down the street. And I'll put it on ASAP, and y'all gonna be like, "Look at this guy! I knew this guy."
No, we never go ASAP.
No. That's the ASAP after dark where you pay. Y'all thought Jim Cross was good. Why did you see me get $15.99 an hour for ASAP?
Hey, I will say this. When I think of the name Kanye and Antonio Brown, I just think it's funny. I'm sorry.
Well, free Antonio Brown hashtag.
Much love to those gentlemen. Hopefully, it works out for them. But we talked about Jay. You said you are not a Dallas Mavericks fan. You haven't converted.
I'm not.
But there is a guy that used to be a part of the Houston Rockets that is all over the news, and I've even heard that Houston would welcome James Harden back. So, as a fan of the Rockets, what do you think happens to James Harden? Does he go anywhere? Does he stay? Like, what's going on with James?
Yeah, obviously the whole Sixers thing didn't come to fruition, and James Harden said that he was happy to stay with Brooklyn, and of course, at least that's what Steve Nash is saying. Trade deadline is the 10th, and why would I would be very disappointed, quite honestly. I'd be very disappointed if Houston took back James Harden for the, and I don't think they're going to take him back because right now they still got to get rid of John Wall to begin with. So maybe if you're talking about a John Wall for a Harden, I really think taking back a Harden. And listen, I like Harden, But taking back Harden and the rebuild project is kind of productive at this point. We've moved on from James Harden. We're trying to rebuild around youth, and it's just kind of productive. He doesn't do anything for us. We need to stay youthful. So, no, I don't see the Rockets ever taking back James Harden. I think it would be kind of productive to what they're trying to achieve in the rebuild process.
Okay. Kenny, what about you?
Yeah, I don't. I would be shocked if he got traded by the trade deadline. I just don't see that happening. I think that Brooklyn is all in on trying to see if this big three is going to work. Like you said, Steve Nash has already been on record, saying that he wants to be here. I just don't see that happening. And again, I think with that combination that they have, because they've invested so much into it, they're gonna try until the very last second is to try to be able to see if they can see this thing come to pass in terms of this big three of Kyrie, James Harden, and KD. So I don't see it happening. I would be totally shocked if it happened. Now, mind you, having said all of that, Daryl Morey has a soft spot for James Harden, so I'm sure he's going to do everything that he can to try to make a deal. But unless that's something not including Ben Simmons, I don't see that happening with him getting traded to Philly. Because
I'll be honest with you, Kenny. I think Brooklyn trades Kyrie before they trade Harden, to be honest with you.
And that's a possibility as well.
Just because of limitations of Kyrie.
But I don't. But I mean, it's a possibility, but I think it's a long shot as well, just because of the whole. Unless you trade him somewhere that doesn't have a vaccination requirement, then I don't see any team trading for him, especially now that he's going to be in a contract year. I think he has an opt out for next season, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't see anybody trading for him unless it's a place that doesn't have a vaccination requirement.
Hey, Kyrie for John Wall. I know Houston don't have that. You bring Kyrie down there.
Yeah, Kyrie will.
I think Kyrie would be worse for Houston than James Harden would.
I think so too. I do. I absolutely.
Here's the other piece to that, though, Kenny, and why I think Brooklyn has a big decision to make, because you mentioned Kyrie has the opt out, but so does Harden. And so at the end of this year, you could be left potentially, because if I'm Kyrie, might not want to come back to Brooklyn because I want to play full time. And instead of it being a distraction, just go somewhere where I can play. So you could potentially walk away from this at the start of next year and just have Durant and get nothing back. Is that a risk that you're willing to take when you can try and move the two pieces now?
I think so, because I think you can get more in the offseason with the sign and trade than you would if you tried to do this deal in season. I think you would have a better possibility of getting more in return if you do it that way, as opposed to trying to trade him, because just like you said, with that opt out, how many resources am I committing in a trade for a guy that I'm not sure if I'm going to have him beyond this season? So that's why I think it's more likely that he gets traded in the offseason than as opposed to him getting traded in season.
But it sure is a lot for a shot that really
because I'm not trading for James Harden. I wouldn't be traded for James Harden, a 32-year-old James Harden, unless I know that I'm going to have him for the next 3 or 4 years. Like, it makes I'm not trading for a guy that could potentially walk away at the end of the season and I don't get anything in return for him, or I'm in the same boat as Brooklyn would be, having to do a sign and trade.
But real quick, but imagine this. You traded Karis LeVert and Jared Allen for James Harden. So you would lose those two and let Kyrie and Harden walk and get nothing. I think that's a heck of a risk.
That's why I said it would be more of a sign and trade as opposed to.
But if I'm James Harden, but that you run into an even worse issue to me, because if I'm James Harden, why would I sign and trade to where you want to trade me if I can just go there on my own? So if I can
be honest, it's not going to happen, because Brooklyn wants 5 damn first rounders for Harden. He didn't get 5 first rounders when he went from Houston to damn near Brooklyn. How are you going to go from 3 first rounders to 5 first rounders and you took a backseat role? That don't make no damn sense.
And Kenny, the other point that we've seen a lot of times with Melo and I think Amari in those trades, if you bankrupt the team you're getting traded to because they want a bunch of stuff back,
Exactly.
I'm not incentivized to go. So if I'm James Harden and you want to send me somewhere, but they take all the young talent or all the draft picks away, I don't want to go play there. So I think you lose all your leverage if you allow this to get to the offseason and both of them can opt out and then say, oh, we'll try and sign and trade. In theory, yes, because James Harden has already lost a lot of money on the last trade, but he's also still made a ton of money. So I think it's really risky, and you got to fire everybody in that front office if you walk away from this with only Kevin Durant and you traded away a bunch of young talent draft picks and lose Kyrie and Harden, and then you'll have an upset Durant, so you'll have to move him too. Like, it could get really bad for Brooklyn really fast. Freddie, go ahead. I know you haven't got any yet.
I'm gonna address something before we get into that part. I really think it's time for the Brooklyn Nets, if they do not become successful at the end of this year, they need to fire Steve Nash. And it's nothing against Steve Nash because I think he's a good coach. I think he's a good coach. I just don't think he's the coach for this team. I believe they need a veteran-minded coach that can hold this team together. I believe they need a coach that has accomplished something in the NBA, that's been around for a little bit, that knows a little bit more, about the game. Now, let's just address this. James Harden will not be traded by Thursday because this Brooklyn Nets team had one goal only this year. It's to win the championship. They would be crazy to trade them to not see this big three go in the playoffs healthy. So this year, all they need to do is go into the playoffs with the big three, and let's see if they can win. Because if they win the championship, guess what? They accomplished the goal. They don't win the championship, the goal not accomplished. As simple as that. I don't know if there's any trade available right now that's going to guarantee them a championship. But I know when this big three is healthy, the percentage of winning the championship is higher when this big three's not together.
Yeah, and so I don't. The reason that trade doesn't work because you got pretty much two guys that's playing the same position in terms of Tatum and KD. So I don't know how well that would work out.
I believe it was Kyrie, but even in that, Kyrie was already in Boston. They ain't bringing
Right.
Kyrie
He
back
ain't
to
going
Boston.
back. He's not going back to Boston. And then not only that, I think Tatum and KD, you basically kind of two of the
I see what
same
you're saying.
guys.
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
And I, like you said, I just don't think it's the best fit. So no, I agree with you
I
on
don't
that.
see that one happening. No, it's definitely a risk though. At the end of the day, like you have, I think that's what this is showing us. I think everything that the Nets are saying is letting you know that they're all in on trying to see this thing through, and they're gonna push their cards into to the middle of the table and ride this thing out and see if they can get a championship out
Because
of
let's
it.
not get it twisted. When all three of them play,
Exactly,
they hard to beat.
hard to beat. So I think they're banking on that. They're banking on that factor, and them being so good when the three of them are together is to see how far they could take it and see how far they could go. Because I don't even let's just say I don't even if everything goes according to plan and the three of them are together, I don't think it's long term. I think the only one that signed long term is KD. I think either one of these guys. I think this is probably maybe a 2 or 3 year project. This is not a long term project because all these guys have been in the league for a long time. So this is not something that's going to be a long championship window. This is going to be a 2 or 3 year, maybe 3 or 4 year at the most.
Yeah, I think the ages and health of the players,
Exactly.
I think would speak to that. So I definitely agree with you. But I think it is something that will be interesting to see kind of how it all shakes out. It makes for a very, what's the word? It'll be a very anticipated trade deadline.
Oh, no doubt.
Because it's quite a few names out there. Indiana has
really work in my favor. Please work in my favor. Basketball.
Russ isn't moving it. Y'all depleted Russ's value by putting him on the bench.
Yeah, you can forget that.
Nobody wants that at this
Nobody's hearing that cry, that plea.
I've been praying to the basketball gods.
It's not happening, my friend.
Yeah, that call's not getting answered.
Yeah.
But to that point, do you feel, and I'll start with Freddie, now that Russ has been benched for half the fourth quarter and all of overtime, and he's come out and said he just wants to win, would benching Russell Westbrook make the Lakers a title contender? Freddie.
First off, I want to say something. I owe somebody a public apology because I was aggressive. I was too hard on him. I was wrong. I was wrong as a man. Because anytime you as a man is wrong, you ask for your apology. Kevin Durant, I'm sorry. I am sorry. I apologize to you, my brother. Because I said it was a weak move for you to leave West Indies. I called you a phony. I called you all kind of names. But I'm sorry. I apologize. I applaud you for making that decision. Because you cannot win basketball games with this man. You cannot.
Kevin Durant was there for 10 years.
In the beginning of the season, when this trade went down, I said,
that ain't happening.
I said, he's going to take a step back. He's going to take a step back. I said he's going to do whatever it takes to win. I said that he wasn't going to turn the ball over as much. He wasn't going to take all these crazy shots, but he's doing it. And I want him off the Lakers. It's like I'm in a nightmare that I can't wake up. I pinch myself. I hit wake up. And I'm too deep in. Just imagine this. LeBron James and Anthony Davis be dominant on Saturday night. And there's a chance. There's a chance to give the game up. Man, oh man, oh man. I'm going to give you a stat, a plus minus. When Russell Westbrook is on the court, they're minus 15. When he's off the court, they're plus 22. That should tell you a lot. I mean, this guy, I've never seen it. It was this bad. Laker fans was begging him not to shoot. He was at a 3-point shot. They were like, no, please, no. I mean, it's bad.
We're still talking about Westbrook. Westbrook like stale bread. That conversation been going on for months. Let me say one thing real quick. I want to say this because this really bothers me a little bit. People want to, I don't know why Freddie is saying that, they need to get rid of Steve Nash, this, that, and the other. Let me tell you something. There's not a veteran coach out there. Hold on, Freddie. There's not a veteran coach out there.
You're talking about the Lakers.
Hold on. Because I wanted to say this, but I didn't want to interrupt you guys. I wanted to wait till it was my turn. Freddie, there is not a veteran coach out there that can make Kyrie Irving change who Kyrie Irving is.
Well,
There's not a veteran coach out there that can make Kyrie Irving take a shot and be a part of the team and develop cohesiveness. So you can't put all this, and let's be honest, they had a Mike D'Antoni. They got veteran coaches there behind Steve Nash, and even they can't even get it done. So don't sit there and make it out like it's a Steve Nash issue. It's a Kyrie Irving issue, and it's always been a Kyrie Irving issue, and it always will be a Kyrie Irving issue as to why the Brooklyn Nets can't get to where they got to go. And if you don't see that, you don't watch the game of basketball. But anyway, I will regret.
Kenny,
I
was saying.
The whole Russell Westbrook thing, I mean, that's just stale bread. It's stale. We all knew that he had to be benched for the Lakers to go and do something.
Yeah, but Jay, it gets reheated every game we watch him play. Every game,
I agree, right?
And we watch I've never seen this many shots hit a backboard or the top of the backboard.
And that's my point. So why Russell Westbrook? Because this was a LeBron James brought in guy.
That angle for that shot is just not there.
He's not Tim Duncan. He wants to be Tim Duncan.
No,
He is not
but
Tim Duncan.
it's that angle for that shot is not a glass shot. He's got to take a step to his right in order.
By the way, though, I am perfectly okay with Russell Westbrook hitting the backboard as many times as he is, because it just means the Lakers aren't going anywhere. And anything against the evil empire of the Lakers, like the evil empire of the Yankees, I'm all for. Go Russell Westbrook.
Don't shoot.
Go Russell Westbrook.
No, I think it's one of those things. It's one of those things where, as a coach, the one hammer that you have is the bench.
Hashtag free
finally, Frank Vogel, and I said this. We've been talking about this for a while, and I said this. It's going to come a point in time where Frank Vogel is going to have to make some tough decisions in terms of Russell Westbrook.
This time. And
we finally gotten to that point to where he's had to sit him down. And so, unfortunately, when AD was out and and LeBron has been kind of in and out. So he really hasn't had much of a choice because he's been limited in terms of his roster. But now that he's gotten these guys back, now he's able to sit Russ down when he's struggling, because again, that's the equalizer, is when you got guys that are not doing what they need to do on the floor, the easiest way to get their attention is to sit them down. And I think now he finally, I think he's finally gotten Russ's attention to the point where he said all I care about is winning. I just want to win. That's what he said. But watch if it was an issue,
they ain't gonna turnovers.
If it was an issue, or if it was something that he was going to have a problem with, we know Russ has no problem with speaking his mind. So if he had a problem with it, he would have said it. It's not like Russ is going to bite his tongue for anybody. So the fact of the matter that he said, I just want to win, that speaks to the fact that he understands that he wasn't helping the team, and it was best for him to sit down.
Kenny, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to say it without my glasses. He's not a part of our big three anymore. It's LeBron, AD, and Malik Monk. Russ is out of that. He's like the fifth option right about now.
Man, the fact that you actually said that out of your mouth and actually posted that on social media,
Malik Monk has been playing better this year.
Makes me really question your basketball IQ, because there's no way in the world that Malik Monk, a bench player, is your big three. He's a guy that's gonna.
Kenny, are you watching the games?
I'm watching the games, and Malik Monk has been playing well. But you put a 20, he'll put a 20 up, and then he'll put a 7 spot up.
Hey, no,
Let's not get it twisted. Let's not act like this guy is a consistent.
Does that?
Hey, real quick, and this is supportive of what you're saying. I believe what you're saying.
Not a consistent contributor.
Hold on now. Hey, Kenny, to your point, and this is where it gets really interesting for Freddie, because this is where I like to talk about Freddie. Freddie was the guy that was all about the Russell Westbrook until Russell Westbrook showed what he was made of, and the inconsistency of Russell Westbrook. Now you want to talk about Malik Monk, who, to Kenny's point, is very inconsistent. So now you're all about the Malik Monk. But when it becomes you're going to change the narrative.
What is the latest flavor?
No, that's okay. This is a Lakers narrative. Right back. Real quick, if I had to dub a label for the Lakers season, if I could say a narrative, what would this Lakers season be called? I would call it the year of inconsistency.
But
hashtag LeBron James.
But we're talking about a Russell Westbrook who have the same amount of 20-point scoring games like Malik Monk. But guess what? I know one thing Malik Monk not going to do. He's not going to turn the ball over 7-8 times. He's not going to shoot the ball on top of the goal. He ain't gonna do that. He ain't gonna play lack of defense. He ain't gonna let a. This is Russell Westbrook.
Wait a minute, hold on. Let's not act like Russ is the only guy that's a bad defender on this team.
He's the main one.
We're not gonna lie and say
that. You can't be awful on offense and not play defense.
I understand that, but I'm not. Let's not say that he's the only bad defender on this Lakers team. It's a bunch of bad defenders on this team.
Rookie play better than him and Austin Reeves.
Austin Reeves is not a great defender either. Let's not get it.
But he plays better defense than Russ.
I think that's the thing. We're not saying people are great, but they're better than Russ. We've seen Russ break down offensively and defensively too many times.
Look at the game against Carson Bird and the Pacers. Instead of him on him, Russ just jogging. We seen the other night the Clippers. Austin Reeves held his ground. What did Russ do? Like this is
He came over. He didn't know he got beat. Russ came over there and tried to steal instead of trying to help on the double team.
But
he got beat. That's not your assignment. The trap is in the corner. You win the game.
Williams got beat. You making it sound like he didn't keep Reggie Jackson in front of him. He got beat.
He did. That's why he spun back around because he had nowhere to go.
Exactly. He got beat. So
he
came over.
That is not on Austin Reeves. Shame on you, coach.
No,
shame on you.
The help came.
All of a sudden, Austin Reeves became the best guy in sliced bread.
The help. Russ messed up in terms of his help. He should have helped with the double, not help with the reach. I will give you that. But he did not recover back after Russ missed on the steal.
But what about the game that we played against the Pacers?
He beat him to the basket.
With Karis LeVert, when you make him go right, but instead of Russ, he just jogging. What about that? Just jogging.
Hey, I could pick up. You could pick a bunch of plays with your guys where there's not 100% effort on defense. How many plays? How many mistakes does AD have to erase on a daily basis for the Lakers?
Who, Anthony Davis?
That's true, Freddie. That's true, Freddie.
He have a couple.
And Freddie is a friend of yours. I don't want to get so hyped up on the Lakers.
But guess what? He's not giving us 5 points. He's not shooting 1 for 10 from the field. He's not turning the ball over 5 times. He's not playing defense.
We've had this back and forth.
Freddie, here's the deal with the Lakers. Let's keep it real simple. The deal with the Lakers
network. Everybody want to take up for the guy. It's me.
Nobody's taking up, and nobody's taking up for him.
The deal with the Lakers is the Lakers are a better team when Russell Westbrook is on the bench. It's clearly noted.
That's what it comes down to.
But at the same time, Freddie, even with Russell Westbrook on the bench, you guys are not top 3 material.
And you're not going to win. You're going to have to find a way. Here's what you're missing. Is you're going to have to find a way to put Russ in positions to be successful. You're not going to make a playoff run with this version of Russell Westbrook.
You know the only way Russell
playing
Westbrook
at this level, you have no chance.
You know the only way we'll be valuable with Russell Westbrook if he grew up to be 7 feet tall. Because when he's on the court at times, he reminds me of another version of Dwight Howard. Absolutely just another body.
But you're not understanding. Like the fact that you need him to be productive in order for your team to be competitive.
I'll pray to the basketball guys we trade his behind Thursday.
There's no chance you're trading this guy.
I would trade him for some dirt right about now. I don't like just trade him for a round draft pick. Just get him gone. Like, hey, Malik Monk is now our 3rd guy.
Okay, good luck with that.
So we've heard the name Karis LeVert a couple times and Russ's failure.
You want Westbrook for Spencer Dinwiddie?
No.
Oh, okay.
I didn't want Russ when he was here last time. I definitely
heard this issue.
And Dinwiddie ain't playing that great either. I got him in fantasy. I know.
Well, guess what? I take what he's doing over Russ.
Well, the locker room don't like him, and he's just not. It's not working. But the team is falling apart. When Kyle Kuzma is your best player that's playing, that's not going to be.
We'll give you Russ.
We don't want Russ. We got rid of Russ.
Nobody. That's the whole point. Nobody wants Russ. Nobody wants Russ.
Kenny.
The only people that wanted Russ was y'all, and so we happily got rid of him.
Is Kimba available, Kenny? We'll take Kimba.
You can't. The salaries don't match. You can't do that.
Kimba's on the max. He ain't on the max.
No. He just remember that deal got bought out.
Well, throw 4 years in there.
He's only making like $8 million.
Give us 1 year.
What you say?
Give us 1 year as well.
You can have both of them.
Okay, we'll make the trade.
And that still ain't gonna work. You still got to add another probably $7 or $8 million.
And I don't think Indiana is going to take on Russell Westbrook for Karis LeVert. Those dudes are trying to go to a dumpster fire right now. They're not bringing on a Russell Westbrook. That's for
they already traded LeVert. LeVert is
no. The comment was like, why not trade Russell Westbrook for LeVert? But that would have never happened anyway because that's not what Indiana's trying to do. That's kind of productive. And again, what Indiana's trying to do.
And again, for all of these deals, for everybody that's watching, everybody that's listening, you have to be able to match the salaries up to a certain percentage in order for the deal to work. Russell Westbrook is making $30+ million. So any of your deals, you got to come within a certain percentage of that $30+ million to make the deal work.
And no
Caris
rebuild
LeVert is
team,
making nowhere near that
no
minimum.
rebuild team is going to take on a Russell. So it's got to be to a mid-level tier team or a team in contention. That's the only one that would take on him.
And nobody's blowing up their roster to that degree to be able to make that deal. So
Freddie, bottom line, you're stuck.
But in that same vein, we have talked about, and he doesn't make enough money either, Zion, but
he's still on his rookie deal. Ain't even close.
But with that being said, Caris LeVert has been traded to Cleveland. And so given what we've seen out of Cleveland this year, does this trade make Cleveland a contender in the East? Freddie?
Man, it's hard to say they're not. I mean, and Cleveland is making moves like they're ready to win now. I mean, this is about picking up Caris LeVert is a move to say, okay, we ready now. Like, man, this team, hey, I'm going to tell you, all the East teams, don't take this team lightly. Because once the playoffs come, you take this team lightly, they will surprise you. And I believe they're going to surprise the team this offseason, this postseason. I'm not going to say they're going to beat the Bulls or the Nets. I'm not saying that. But they're going to be the team that we think that's going to have the advantage over them. Because this team,
the first two teams out of Freddie's mouth, though, is the Bulls and the Nets, and not Milwaukee. Like, put some respect on Milwaukee.
It's because Milwaukee's at the cream of the top, Jay McLovin. So stay in your place, sir. But like I was saying, this team, they hustle, they play defense, they get down and play defense. They have two bigs in the back that can protect the paint.
Mm-hmm.
If you have your guard play already, but now adding a Caris LeVert, and you got Rondo coming off the bench, running the bench squad with that veteran leadership.
Mm-hmm.
Man, oh man, I'm gonna go on the limb and say this, and I might be crazy to say this. They're the version of the Memphis Grizzlies in the East.
No,
that's actually not.
I can get
with you on that. I could co-sign.
That you're telling me that this team has the fighting instincts of Memphis Grizzlies. That's saying a lot.
Yeah, let me tell you something.
I'm not 100% on that.
Darius Garland, he doesn't get the same acclaim as John Morant. But he's just
no. It's not even about a John Morant. John Morant's
very skilled.
I'm talking about the team itself. That team.
What I'm talking about is Memphis is known for that grit and grind. But I'm
talking about and Cleveland doesn't have that.
Have you watched the Cleveland?
Yeah, you ain't watching Cleveland.
I'm watching Cleveland games, and I don't think that. I'm not ready to go that far yet.
They got some pieces, man.
What I want to see is let some of their main stars go by the wayside and see if they go on 11-2 run, and then maybe we can talk.
Well, I'm
gonna
say this about Cleveland. I think Freddie, like, I love that point that you made. I think what I like about them is with getting Caris LeVert is it gives them another guy that can get his own shot down the stretch.
I get that part.
You put him with Darius Garland, along with the young fella. I can't think of the bigs. Not Jared Allen, but the other young fella. Can't think of his name.
I know you're talking about his name either.
But anyway, you put that. What's
Mobley.
his name?
Mobley.
Evan Mobley.
Yes, Evan Mobley. Thank you. And you put that with that young length that they have. Then you got a Kevin Love coming off the bench that's still being productive. You got a Rondo coming off the bench that gives you some leadership that, like Freddie mentioned. Like, you have a nice mix between the size that they have with Jared Allen and Mobley. You put another scorer out on the perimeter with Caris LeVert to go along with Darius Garland. You got two or three guys at any time that can get their own bucket, that can get bucket for themselves, and they can play for the other players. He's hurt.
He's hurt.
Think about that. He's not even in the lineup. Like,
see, the problem I have, Kenny, is and not that LeVert is a bad choice for them to trade for. It's not. But at the same time, I would have rather seen them bring in a guy like Sabonis to help with the rebounding, to help with the I'm just saying, I think that would have been a better shot.
They got two bigs that rebound great, Jared Allen and Evan.
That's right. They have Mobley. I apologize. I forgot about Mobley. I wasn't considering Mobley.
And then also,
you're right.
They got the young fella Markkanen, who that stretches the floor. So, like, they got they've really upgraded their talent in like a short period of time over these last 2 years. And so, like, I think Cleveland is in position to really make some noise in the East, and you're gonna have to watch out for them come playoff time, because I think once they get, once Karis LeVert, gets his, gets his understanding and gets his rhythm and how he's going to play with those guys and playing off those guys, I think they got a chance to be really dangerous. So I think this was a great deal. When I first read it, I thought that he was going to Miami, and I was like, "Whoa!"
But when you say really dangerous, though, how do you stack them up against Milwaukee though? Because let's be honest, Brooklyn's not going to be
honest with you.
Not. Chicago's not going to be
there. I think that Cleveland actually has the length to be able to deal with Giannis.
And that's my point, because I can see
Cleveland versus the best version of length to deal with Milwaukee.
If you build that wall,
so would you say you can see a Cleveland
Allen? That's a nice back line to keep him when he gets going downhill. And he's going to
see a Cleveland and Milwaukee matchup, which I think would be more of a matchup than the other two.
But and that's the thing. LeVert can make Giannis work on the defensive side. That outside of this, they wouldn't have had anybody that's going to make Giannis guard. Chris Middleton can't guard him. So I think that also poses a threat. And he can shoot. So if you're running pick and roll with Mobley or Allen, now you got somebody that you got to stay with because he can shoot from the wing. And then Osman and some of those other boys, they can shoot as well.
That's right.
So I think they're right in that mix. Miami's going to be tough, Milwaukee. But I think the top 4 teams in the East just kind of separated themselves from everybody else. And Brooklyn better get it together real fast. So they're going to be in trouble.
Brooklyn's done. I don't even see Brooklyn. No. Hell no.
You say they done, but
no, hell no. No, Freddie.
Kevin Durant was
I get it. You're just saying you got Durant, you got Harden, you got this. But it's not just enough to have that, Freddie. That's not enough. That narrative is not enough.
We seen last year in the playoffs, Kevin Durant nearly by himself.
They lost, Freddie.
By himself.
Freddie, they lost.
But how they lose, James?
And this year, they're more of a disarray. Freddie, they're in more of a disarray this year than they were last year. And they lost last year.
Jay, listen. Yes or no? Because Kevin Durant will come back by the end of the month. Yes or no? Do you think this team get in the playoffs?
If they go to the 6th seed,
no,
they're in the playoffs. Okay, they're in the playoffs. No doubt about that. But hell, that's not enough to be in the playoffs.
Give me a yes or no. Are they in the playoffs?
Yeah.
So if you mean to tell me if this big 3 can get in the playoffs, you can name 2 to 3 teams in the East that can beat them.
Yeah. I can.
So Jay,
I can. 2 or 3 teams in the East that can beat them. Yeah, I can. Milwaukee for number 1, and basically what they're saying about Cleveland, that's the number 2, and they would have to slide down to the number 6 seed to even have a full number 3. Let's be honest.
So you mean to tell me the same Bucks team that Kevin Durant nearly took them out on his own can beat them?
Nearly. I love those words. Those adjectives are amazing. Those adjectives are awesome. Say that adjective one more time, because nearly got me what?
So Jay, tell me this.
Nearly ever get me the black offense room?
Jay, tell me this. Brooklyn currently is in the 7th spot.
Right.
Chicago is a half game out of 2nd. Right. If Brooklyn fully formed faces Chicago in the first round, you're picking Chicago?
First round. Okay, so that's with time about. So that's with Chicago facing a number 6 seed or 7 seed Brooklyn, right?
7, 2 facing 7.
Right.
And,
so you're saying
in that scenario, Kyrie Irving would be playing 4 games on the road.
We're not taking Brooklyn over Chicago.
That's my point. That's our point.
Okay. So that's my point. My point is for Brooklyn to be successful, they'd have to go down to the 6th seed to even have that combination. And let's be honest, you go down to that seed
at 7. They're at the 7th spot right now.
I got it. So they're at where they need to be. Then, if that's the case, yeah, you're right. They don't even have to go down. They're already there.
Boom.
But I don't think that Kevin Durant and this team is going to be the Milwaukee Bucks team. I think that's just I know it looks good on paper, and I'll stand by this when y'all were talking about the Chiefs over the freaking Bengals, and I'll be there when you talk about this one. So it's okay. I got you.
All right, so I'm going to rephrase the question. Excuse me. Jay, healthy James Harden, healthy, I'm not even counting Kyrie. Healthy James Harden, healthy KD, Kyrie for 3 or 4 games, you still picking them over Milwaukee?
That's a lot of ifs, Greg. Kenny, I'm sorry. I almost called you Greg. I apologize. Kenny, that's a lot of ifs. That's a lot of ifs.
It is. I'm just asking you.
And rainbows come down. Maybe they can form up together and form a kind of a line.
In that scenario, which is a viable scenario.
We're all talking.
So if in that scenario, you got Durant, Harden, Irvin, all healthy and no issues, then they definitely would put up a formidable front. But I still believe in this Milwaukee team over that Brooklyn team. I just do, man.
Yeah, I'm not. That's your opinion.
I just do. I think that the championship and the togetherness and the bond and the chemistry, all the intangibles. I understand.
I just want to see what your thoughts were.
That is a good. Hey, if Brooklyn can maintain that healthiness, I want to see that. God damn, I've been waiting for years to see a fully healthy Brooklyn team to see what they can really do, and nobody's really seen that.
It's only been 2 years, Jay. Relax.
I know. I'm sorry. I get all hyper. It's my medication, Kenny.
So kind of.
I want to see it too. I understand.
So kind of on a positive note, we talked about, I think it was the last episode, about the All-Star game and who we thought maybe weren't the best selections. So there have been 2 replacements. DeJounte Murray is replacing not Julius Randle, Draymond Green, and LaMelo Ball, is replacing Kevin Durant. Were those the right selections, Fred?
Nope, it was not.
Oh boy. Here we go.
I love it.
I know you're not about to tell me Anthony Davis should have been.
Anthony Davis should be.
Oh my God.
Draymond Green is a power forward.
Wait a minute. Ray, you wanted a different narrative? Ray, you expecting a different narrative?
I honestly don't even know why I went to Freddie first. I should have known.
He reminded everybody who the hell he is right now.
Somebody please mute this man.
He's Kevin freaking no. He's Anthony freaking.
No, you had it right the first time.
Right, exactly.
Anthony freaking Davis, and he's showing y'all that. What did he do to your Knicks on Saturday, Kenny? What did he do?
He had a good game.
No, he had a great game. That wasn't a good game. A great game.
But there's no way that you're going to tell anybody that
he missed a month.
Yeah, that missed a month of the first half of the season, and you're going to tell me that this guy's going to be an all-star. Stop, man. Just
14, 16, 17 games this year, and he's still the captain.
That's because of fan voting.
Well, he's played 33 out of 54 games. He's missed 20-plus games, and you telling me that he should be an all-star. Stop.
Because you know why? Because we need to put some respect on this man's name.
No, we don't.
Stop being a fan and stop. And
he don't play.
He's missing those many games. Name a power forward in the West that's better than
Stop being a fan and talk realistically. You talking about Deontay Murray? This man is almost averaging a triple-double.
Ken, I got a question.
You're talking about a guy that's missed 20-something games. You saying he should be in over him.
I don't like the fact that they replaced him with a point guard because Draymond Green's a power forward.
But that's what this game is about.
Let me ask you a question, Kenny. So outside of with AD, who is the best power forward in the West? I'll wait.
Nobody's talking about you changing the argument. We're talking about for the All-Star game for this first half of the season, who is more deserving, Deontay Murray or Anthony Davis? Answer me that question, sir.
Murray for his team, but he's not a power forward.
This is positionless
the replacement
basketball.
is position.
Game.
If that's the case, you want to go that case, then Trae Young should not be starting for the East. It should be Zach LaVine.
It's fan voting.
That's fine, but both of them deserve to be on the team. Nobody's arguing that. You're arguing for a guy that does not deserve to be in the game.
Booker's had a better year.
But again, you keep on adding these people.
Nobody's arguing
Anthony Davis. Nobody's arguing the fact that any of these guys that you're naming should be all-stars. Nobody is saying that Anthony Davis should be an all-star with you.
Rudy Gobert should be over AD?
He's played way more games and his team is better. What are you talking about?
What does his number look like?
When you don't have a Gobert, do you have a Utah? I'm just asking the question
man.
for a friend.
What is Rudy Gobert's numbers? AD's number. I'm interested.
I'm gonna tell you.
AD missed a bunch of games. AD's not in the conversation. He's disqualified.
Okay, with AD missing all those games, what is his numbers against Rudy Gobert?
I'm about to
his
tell you.
average is going to still be good because he played less games.
Right.
Like, what are we talking about?
Hold on. Rudy Gobert is averaging 16 points, 15 rebounds, and 2.3 blocks a game. So what are you talking about?
What is Anthony Davis?
Hold on, I'm gonna tell you right now.
Probably 22 and 9.
22, maybe 12, maybe something like that. But I'm gonna tell you, I'm looking it up.
Of course, there should be an asterisk with the number of games, though.
Right. I don't even know. That's the whole point. That's the point. He hasn't played just like Zion's rookie year. Zion had a dynamic rookie year.
The numbers are skewed in Freddie's favor because of the number of games, so they're going to be skewed a little bit.
What is it, Kenny? I know you got it.
I got it. 80. Oh my goodness, 23. No, I'm giving 24 rebound, 24 points a game, 10 rebounds, and 2.2 blocks.
Okay, then. And he's more versatile than Rudy Gobert. Rudy Gobert is
when he's on the court. When he's on the court. You cannot. He's not making an all-star game playing 30 games when it's 50-something games that has been.
And in all seriousness, though, really, this is really about popularity. Let's be honest. All-star game is a fan. It's a fan-voted thing. It's 50% the fans and 50% coaches, players, and so forth. So the All-Star game, with all the numbers aside, it is a fan-driven thing. And it should be fan-driven because it's an entertainment venue.
I would have rather put Carmelo Anthony in there than DeJounte Murray because of the position.
Stop, Freddie. We're not going to talk to Freddie about this topic anymore because he's talking nonsense. Kenny, I agree. I think when you talk about value and importance, I think it's great that Murray, who's been has a bunch of triple doubles this year, has that team fairly relevant when they don't have much else. I've watched a lot of their games. He's really fun to watch. I was happy that Melo got in. I think Melo should have got in, but I would have been happy with Mobley or Allen since it's in Cleveland. I wouldn't have been upset with another Cleveland player. But Melo deserved to be there, even though Charlotte has been quite underwhelming this year. They got dynamic offense, but they don't play defense and they don't play consistent. But those would be my takes. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, no, I like LaMelo Ball. I like what he brings to the game. I like, everything that he's doing over there in Charlotte. So I don't have a problem with him, and I don't have a problem with Murray being over there. And I know that Fred is going to make the case for a guy who's played a handful of games in the season. I get that, but like I said, Freddie, it's a fan voting affair, and if you're not on the team, or if you're not playing enough games, the fans basically kind of put you to the step side and they go with what they have. And sometimes even a guy's name just means more than another guy's name. Freddie, it's not fair all the time, but it's a fan voting predominantly.
But this is not a fair. This is not about being fair. This is about him just not having played enough games.
Exactly.
If he played enough games, this wouldn't even be an argument. The fact of the matter is,
I'm glad he didn't make it. I'm glad he didn't make it.
Yeah,
you should, because let's be honest, Freddie.
Yeah, because when he played in the game, he would have got hurt.
I'm glad he didn't make it.
Be glad.
And he's dominating.
Get off his feet and make sure he doesn't sprain an ankle or roll.
I'm tired. I don't like that. I'm tired of this narrative. I want to speak on this real quick. We never talk about this when it comes to Kawhi, and he's never available for his team.
Yes, we do talk about with Kawhi. What do you mean?
No, nobody ever talks about his injury like they talk about everywhere. They call David Street Day.
Don't you remember that whole load management issue? We were talking about Kawhi when we were talking about load management.
What about people killed Kawhi for load management?
And the only time his stuff has been major injuries. The reason why people get on AD is because he has all of these little minor injuries.
KP's not even relevant anymore. No one talks about him because he's always injured. So yes, we don't talk about him because he's not worth talking about. He's nobody.
What about Kevin Durant?
What about
him?
Mean?
He's always nicked.
How many Finals MVPs Kevin Durant got?
Oh, that's the reason why now. That's the reason.
He got 3 rings. What do you mean? I'm sorry, he got 2 rings and 2 Finals MVPs, and he beat Bron. So no, we're not going to talk about him in the same way. We're not going to talk about him the same way we talk about Anthony Davis.
And I think the reason why, Freddie, the biggest reason why this people talk about Anthony Davis in this way because it would be different if it was major injuries or something where he's going to be out for an entire season, or if it's like with Klay. People don't say the same thing about Klay Thompson because he had 2 major injuries. Issue with AD is always these little nagging things, whether it's a sprained knee or a rolled ankle or a shoulder or things like that. So he's in and out of the lineup as opposed to just being out of the lineup. Because out of sight, out of mind, but he's always in and out of the lineup.
Right, you can keep naming people, but the perception of AD is what it is. Jimmy Butler's a dog. And if Jimmy Butler's constantly nicked, it's because he plays so hard.
Hey, but at the end of the day, I get that, Ray. But at the end of the day, people just did not want to see Anthony Davis play. That's just what it is. It is what it is. They didn't want to see Anthony Davis play, so they didn't vote for him. They voted for other people. And you got to accept the fact that Anthony Davis wasn't.
But this part of it, though, the only difference about that, Jay, is that this is for the reserves. So the reserves.
Well, I don't know. I thought the reserves was the same way. Is it different for the reserves?
But Kenny, to that point, they could have voted him in ahead of Andrew Wiggins, and they didn't.
I'm gonna say
right. They could have, but I'm just saying in terms of him being picked as opposed to Deontay Murray, he would have had to been picked as a reserve. And
the coaches and everyone else knows
that's not the fans that do that.
That Freddie doesn't understand.
Exactly. Everybody that knows what they're talking about and actually, understands the game.
My last standpoint on this. I'm glad they didn't pick him so he can get pissed off and he's dominate the way he's been dominated.
You really think
the same way Aaron Rodgers dominated this year, right?
Right.
I don't care.
Hey, listen. I'm not a Rams fan. Hey, Freddie, let Anthony Davis dominate from the couch. Because at the end of the day,
Anthony Davis is on a second half rampage because he got snubbed for the All-Star game.
You got that right. He gonna dominate.
Okay.
And what round y'all going out in with that dominating performance?
When we walk out with one of these,
yeah, right, man. You ain't walking out with one of those. I'll tell you that.
Crazy by Thursday.
That would be the first round, sir.
You know what? Hold on. I'm on a request. Jay McLevin, you gotta be a part of this too. Kenny and Ray, you almost on this list. Almost. First round of the playoffs, y'all gotta do play-by-play with me. Every game of the Lakers.
Unless the game is early, then.
And I'm not gonna say a word. I'll be just like this. Just watching y'all.
I mean, the games will be over pretty quick, so I'm not too concerned.
Hey, now I like how Ray just put that knife in there very slowly.
Yeah, we know who the Lakers are at this point. But
I don't know how you don't know.
He saw him Saturday. He saw him Saturday. He didn't like that, did you? We made Randall look how much small that second half.
That's the New York Knicks for crying out loud.
You mean the Knicks who aren't even who are like the?
If you would have done that against the Phoenix Suns, okay, you might have a legitimate argument.
You sure didn't slow down RJ Barrett. That's for sure.
In the second half, we did. He didn't do nothing.
Did that game go to overtime? By the way.
It had 35.
Yeah, because guess what?
You slowed him down. He had 35. You slowed him down.
Stop a dude from a dunk. He want to run
That's
away.
What doing
Please. Oh, darn. Get his bum off my team.
Please.
This dude has lost his heart.
35.
This Russell Westbrook does not have the passion for the game he used to.
Oh man! All right. So
let's move on.
We'll wrap it up there.
Am I wrong?
We're going to stay away from this.
Thank you.
Russell Westbrook slander. We've addressed the situation long enough. He was more deserving of an all-star nod than AD, but that's a conversation for another day. So, fellas,
Lakers would not support that.
It's been a pleasure with you all this evening. We got Super Bowl picks coming up on Thursday, so y'all do not miss the show. We got Super Bowl picks. We got trade deadline breakdowns and reactions that'll be going on. So we'll be able to see Freddie on here in the morning as he's stuck with Russell Westbrook for the rest of the season. So please tune in to console or chide Freddie
trade him
in his time Who would have thought that Russell Westbrook would outlast Frank Vogel
Simmons?
on the Lakers?
Just trade him.
So,
Trade him, please.
Fellas, I definitely appreciate it, y'all. Please tune in. ASAP doing big things. We got more stuff coming up from the Super Bowl on the network as well. So tune into that. A lot of great content and great things coming for you. So thanks again, Freddie, for joining. And those Freddie facts are always refreshing.
Always.
Kenny, thank you again for putting Freddie in check. Jay as well for providing knowledge and insight that Freddie needed to become a better analyst of the game. And for me, it was just enjoyable to listen. So you guys,
Ray, I got two things real quick.
Hold on, wait. You struggled against New York, and you got it in overtime barely.
Yeah,
and you think this team is going to make it. I'm sorry, Ray.
We had to bench
the hell out of here.
We benched and we elevated. But two things.
You elevate these nuts.
Kanye, please reach out to me. I need to help you change my change me around.
Kanye, yeah, to run that one back, huh?
Yeah, hit me up. Oh, please just hit me up.
My goodness.
Because I just need your presence. And then two, basketball guys, please get him out. Please get him out. He don't rock purple. He don't. Send him to the Clippers. We'll take Reggie Jackson over him. Send him to the Clippers.
Oh man, Mr. October, LeBron already said like him, so
he'd be
that would be a win.
Hey, hell, I'll even get Felton out of retirement over here.
By the way, LeBron's batting 1,000 with bringing people to LA. Look at the team they got now, batting 1,000. So go ahead, keep bringing people in. We love you.
I'll take Patrick Beverly over us right about now.
Okay, good night.
All right. Well, y'all, it's been a pleasure. Y'all take it easy. And until Thursday, we will be back.
Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays. Whole sports, all plays.